Hello students, welcome to class 11th. Today's class is on the first chapter of business studies, nature and purpose of business. So let's get started. Before getting into the intricacies of business and the classification of economic activities, let us first concentrate and understand a simpler term, human activities. Now, what are human activities? From the name only we can make out the meaning. Human activities are all those activities that are undertaken on an everyday basis to fulfill certain needs and desires. We further classify human activities into economic and non-economic activities. By economic, we mean all those activities that are undertaken to earn money or profit. So whatever activities draw income out of it, draw money out of it, are known as economic activities. Like farmers go to the fields to produce crops and they sell their crops to earn money. Doctors treat the patients and they charge fees. Teachers teach in the school, they charge salaries. So all these are examples of economic activities. On the other hand, non-economic activities means that are done purely out of love, sympathy, patriotism, or just to satisfy some social or mental need. For example, in the picture you can see here a lady distributing free food to the poor children. So she's just doing it out of love for them or sympathy towards them. And another picture talks about a gentleman helping an old man cross the road. So this is also done out of sympathy. So these are examples of the non-economic activities. So it becomes very clear now that economic activities are undertaken with the sole objective of earning money. So whatever activities that we do to earn our living and earn our livelihood, that will be termed as economic activities. So when our fathers go out to do their jobs, they draw salary, that's an economic activity. A wholesaler selling goods to the retailer and retailer selling goods to the end consumers are all economic activities. So we further classify the economic activities into three categories that are business, profession, and employment. By business, we mean all those activities that involve production or procurement, sale and exchange of goods and services to satisfy the needs of other people with the objective of earning profit. So very important terms that we have to pay attention here on are production, purchase, sale and exchange, goods and services, and profit. So what do we mean by production? So business is all about production. It is about manufacturing goods and services. It is about creating utilities. So business not necessarily always involve production. It can also be procurement of those goods and services from somebody else and then selling it to the consumers. Let us take a simple example. Suppose I'm producing garments, I'm manufacturing garments, then that is the example of production. On the other hand, if I have a garment store and I'm simply selling the clothes, the garments to the consumers, but I'm not producing it, in that case, I'm purchasing it from the manufacturer for the purpose of selling it to the end consumer. So this is an example of purchase or procurement. Either both ways, production and purchase can be done through business. Then business necessarily involves exchange or sale of goods and services. So by sale we mean when we are giving goods against money. So we are selling our goods and services for money. Then that is sale and exchange of goods and services. It can be both good or service. By good we mean anything that is tangible like pen, paper, pencil, aeroplane, cars, laptops, etc. And services is anything that can be that can be experienced, that can be felt. It cannot be seen, it cannot be touched, but it can be felt. For example, transport service, banking service, advertisements are all services. Then ultimately the objective of undertaking business is profit. Without profit there is no business. If the objective is not to earn profit, then it cannot be termed as business. Talking about profession, profession is rendering personalized or let's say customized services by somebody who has the necessary training, education or skill. For example, a chartered accountant, doctor, lawyer, teacher, they all hold professional degrees. They're educated, they're skilled, they have the knowledge of their field, so they can give those personalized, customized services as per the needs of the clients. Last but not the least is employment. Employment is when an employee works for an employer to earn salary. So an employee has to perform the duties as per the agreement or contract, and against his working, against his duties, what he draws is his regular salary. Talking about the characteristics or the features of business, the first is economic activity. So every business is an economic activity which is undertaken to earn profit. Without the objective of profit, no activity whatsoever can be called as business. The second feature is production or procurement of goods and services. As I explained in my previous slide, a business or an activity to be called a business, there has to be production. Production means the manufacturing, the creation of goods or services. Or they can be procurement. Procurement here we mean is purchase of those goods and services for selling it to the others. For production, we can take examples of, let's say, Reliance Jio gives telecommunication services to its clients, so it is producing a service and then selling. For procurement, we can take example of Amazon. What Amazon does, it procures all the goods from the manufacturers or the producers, and then it sells off further to its consumers. So Amazon is basically into procurement and then selling. Reliance Jio is in production. So for business, for an activity to be called a business, there has to be production and procurement of goods and services. Third, let's come to sale or exchange. For an activity to be called a business, there has to be sale or exchange. That means the goods need to be sold for money. Whether you're producing goods or you're rendering services, there has to be sale and exchange in terms of money. Then, talking of dealings on regular basis, here we mean an activity can be termed business when it is done on an everyday basis, on a regular basis. One time transaction can never be called business. For example, if you have a second hand car and you're selling it even at a profit to you, let's say your friend or your neighbor, it was sold only once. Even if you've earned profit out of it, that cannot be termed as business. But if you are a dealer in the pre-owned car, you're doing it as a business every day, buying and selling second-hand old pre-owned cars, then it can definitely be termed as business because you're doing it, you're engaging in it on an everyday regular basis. Next is very easy and it is very well understood now. Profit is again one of the very important characteristics of business. Without the objective of profit, any activity cannot be termed as business. So the ultimate objective of doing business is profit earning. When there's no profit and there is continuous loss sustenance in the business will eventually die. So profit earning is very, very important characteristic of business. Uncertainty and return. Uncertainty here means we are not certain in a business. It is always open to a lot of risk and uncertainty. We cannot always predict the exact amount of loss or the exact amount of profit that can happen to business. So we are not sure how much profit are we going to earn this month, how much loss there's going to be in the next month. In the corona outbreak due to COVID, nobody could have ever predicted that there'll be something like COVID-19 and all businesses together will face losses. So this is uncertainty. And risk, why is there a risk? Because the environment is changing, the needs of the people are changing, sometimes the demands change. So there is always a certain degree of uncertainty and risk in every business. No business whatsoever is bereft of the risk and uncertainty. So that is the last feature of business. Let us now talk about the distinction between business, profession, and employment. Now we are going to be differentiating between the three on a certain basis, starting with the first basis, mode of establishment. So business gets started just after the completion of some formalities if required. So there are some businesses that do require some initial legal formalities to be done, whereas there are some businesses that can be started off without much legal formalities. For example, if you're starting a business, there are a lot of legal formalities involved. But if you simply want to open up a tuition center at home, that does not require much legal formalities. So depending upon the type of business, once the formalities are over, you can immediately start off with the business process. Under profession, the profession can be established only after the membership of a professional body. So if you want to start out with the practice of chartered accountancy, then you definitely need a certificate from ICAI. Under employment, the work can be started immediately after receiving the appointment letter or the joining letter. Talking about the second basis, that is qualification. For starting a business, no minimum qualification is needed. For a profession, you definitely need a training or a degree or a diploma, that is a professional qualification from the concerned professional body. For employment, it depends upon the type of job. So for every type of job, there's a certain prescribed qualification that is needed. The third basis is the capital investment. The capital investment in business is the maximum, and the amount will vary from business to business depending upon what type and what size of business it is. In profession, comparatively, as compared to business, there's a comparatively limited capital required. And in employment, you do not need any capital at all, because the employee does not have to invest any money. It is the employer or the boss that is going to make the investment. Talking about the next basis, that is risk. For first business, there is the highest amount of risk in any business, because there's no business who can work without any risk. Of course, the risk level will depend and differ from from business to business, depending upon its nature and size. In profession, comparatively, the degree of risk is low, and in employment, the degree of risk is least, because even if the boss isn't earning well, he definitely has to pay you salary whatsoever. Okay, so the next basis is the code of conduct, or how you have to behave. What are going to be the rules of working? So in business, there's no code of conduct, because you're the boss, you decide it. In profession, the code of conduct is followed as per the professional body, as laid down by the professional body. In employment, the terms and conditions of the services are laid down in your contract, and you have to perform your job as per the terms and conditions given in the contract that you've signed. The next basis is the nature of work. What work are you going to do in all the three economic activities? So in business, you provide goods and services. In profession, you provide customized, personalized services. And in employment, you have to do the work as allotted by your employer or your boss. Talking about the last basis of differentiation, that is what you get as reward and return. So in business, you get the profits. In profession, you get the fee, and the last, in employment, you get the salary or the wages. Now quickly, I'll tell you the difference between the salary and wages. Salary is what you draw monthly, and wages are given on an everyday basis, or a weekly basis, or fortnight basis.